Today's readings teach us about choices, and that if we accept the gift of wisdom from God, these choices become easier to make, and we shall inherit eternal life. We are constantly making choices, and we have more choices to make as we get older and take on more responsibility. Plus, it seems like we have many more options to choose from today than we had 50 or 60 years ago. When I was growing up in the 1960s, life seemed simple as a child. We had 3 choices for ice cream: vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry. And the same was true for TV. We had maybe 6 or 7 channels to choose from. But as I got older, of course, I faced bigger choices, like we all do, as we enter adulthood and then live out our adult lives. What is my vocation? Should I marry or stay single? Or should I enter the seminary or a religious order? Should I go to college? Should I join the military? Should I learn a trade? Where do I live? Where do I work? Do I buy or rent a house? Where do I go to church? How often do I pray? And more recently, when should I retire? When should I start collecting Social Security? Yes, when we think about all of these decisions that we have to make day in and day out, whether they are large and life-defining choices, or whether they are as simple as what am I going to pack for lunch today, it can be overwhelming at times. Today's readings are meant to help simplify the choices that we make. When we turn to God and stay closely connected to Him, embracing that gift of wisdom that He reveals to us throughout our lives, choices become more obvious. In the book of Sirach, we hear that a man can choose between life or death, between good or evil. To choose good means to follow God's commandments, and to choose evil means to sin, to turn away from God. And to choose life is to choose everlasting life. But to choose death is to choose everlasting damnation and that permanent separation from God. In Paul's letter to the Corinthians, he writes about a wisdom to those that are mature, not a wisdom of this age. Rather, we speak of God's wisdom, mysterious and hidden. This wisdom is necessary to discern between good and evil, especially between the eternal life or death that we get to choose. This mysterious and hidden wisdom that God slowly reveals to us throughout our lives should inform our conscience to help us make the right choices, to choose good, to choose life. You're probably thinking at this point, this sounds great, but is this only theological? Can it actually be practical? How can I apply this in my life? Perhaps a few examples or questions to consider might help to put this into perspective. For example, when choosing what university to attend or where to send our children to college, how important is the Catholic campus ministry program? Or when choosing where to live, how important is the proximity of our new home to an active Catholic Church community? Or when choosing a career or an employer, how important is the culture and the nature of the particular field or that particular employer? I remember one of these aha moments that I had about 25 years ago. I was directing the laboratory division of a small high-tech company that conducted leading-edge materials research for various materials applications. And during a strategic planning meeting, one of the consultants, about 30 years my senior, looked me in the eye, and knowing that I was a practicing Catholic, said to me, Do you want to make superior weapons and projectiles that kill people? Or do you want to make armor that protects them? I was shocked that he would bring faith into this discussion and that he was so blunt and direct, because we were just about to market a $3 million contract for projectiles with a very high probability of award. From a business perspective, the choice was very easy. We needed that contract. But from the perspective of a conscience well-formed by this hidden wisdom that comes from God, the choice was even easier. I hope these few examples are helpful for you to find ways to apply this wisdom of God in your lives, in the choices that you make each and every day. And of course, speaking of choices, Lent begins this week. It's a good time to reflect on all of our choices and to gain wisdom through prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. In Jesus' words from today's gospel, he imparts wisdom by expounding upon the law, by calling us to conversion and giving us much to think about in terms of our own sinfulness. And he teaches about choices we can make to avoid sin in the future. Lent is a great time to experience this conversion that we're called to. So I encourage you, as you leave church today, to spend some time to think about how you will embrace this Lenten season to grow in God's wisdom. For it is through this mysterious and hidden wisdom that we will more frequently choose good over evil and inherit eternal life.